Okay, so we're gonna talk about comparing decimals to the thousands. So go to page 22 in math workbook number 1. And it says, how can you compare decimals? So what does it say about comparing decimals?
Comparing decimals is like comparing a whole number.
Comparing decimals is like comparing whole numbers. Alright, so who want to read the word problem?
Scientists collected and measured the lengths of different cockroach species. Which cockroach had the greater length than the American or the cockroach?
It says the American or the Oriental cockroach. Okay, so look right here on the number line. What 3 whole numbers do you see on the number line?
3 and 400 and then 500, 3 and 600.
Okay, repeat it.
3 and 400,
500, 600.
Okay, so 3 and 4,000. Is it thousands?
Thousands.
Okay. How do we know it's thousands and not hundreds?
Because it's 2 places behind
the
it.
decimal.
2? Is it 2
Yeah,
or
3. It
3
looks like
places
2
behind the
'cause there's 2
decimal?
zeros.
It's 3 places behind the decimal. Okay. So look at American. Look at the first cockroach. It says American 3 and 576,000 centimeters. Then it has the Australian cockroach, which is 3 and 582 centimeters. And then it has an Oriental cockroach, which is 3 and 432,000 centimeters. Okay, so what is step 1 when comparing decimals? Read step number 1 all together.
Line up the decimal points, start at the left, compare digits of the same place value.
Okay, so line up the decimal points. Start at the left. Compare the digits of the same place values. So in step number 1, what do we notice about the numbers?
They both have 3s in the one.
They all have the same whole.
They got the same whole number.
They have the same whole number. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily mean with the whole number being the same, that means they're what? The whole numbers are what?
Equal.
They're equal. Okay, so now we're just gonna move one place to the right. What is the decimal that you see?
5.
5 tenths and 4 tenths. So which number is bigger?
5.
5. So look at step 2. It said find the first place where the digits are different. So what's the first place where the digits are different?
The tenths.
The tenths place. And we have a what?
5 and 4.
5 and a 4. Then step 3 says to compare. So which is bigger, 5 or 4?
5.
All right. So 3 and 576,000 is greater than 3 and 432,000. All right. So look at the critique reasoning. Read that problem together.
Valerie said 12 and 68 hundredths is greater than 12 and 8 tenths because 68 is greater than 8. Is she correct? Explain.
Okay. So Valerie said that 12 and 68 hundredths is greater than 12 and 8 tenths because 68 is greater than 8. Is she correct? Explain. So go ahead and write down your answers and explain. You can't give me a yes or no answer. You have to be able to explain yes, Valerie is correct, and why Valerie is correct, or no, Valerie is not correct, and why Valerie is not correct. All right, so let's talk about it. The question said, Valerie said 12 and 68 hundredths is greater than 12 and 8 tenths because 68 is greater than 8. So we'll just take turns. We'll start right here, then we'll go around and y'all will share whether or not Valerie is correct and explain whether or not Valerie is correct. And then I will give y'all the correct answer. All right, sorry.
I said no, she is not correct because 68 is not just one number and it has two numbers. 8 is in the tenth place and 6 is in the tenth place. Meanwhile, the other 8 is in the hundredth place, so it cannot count as a 10. And that means that she is incorrect because 8, the 8 in the 10th place is larger than the 6 in the 10th place.
Okay. All right.
I put no, Valerie is not correct because if you stacked your decimals, when you were comparing them, you'd have to add your placeholder at the end of the 8 because it's in the tenths. And the 6 it's not 68, it's 6. It's called 68 because that's what it looks like, but it's just 6 tenths and 8 hundredths. So if you stacked it, you'd see your places. So when I was comparing them, I added my placeholder so I would see which one was greater. So I thought that 12 and 8 tenths was greater, so that's why she was incorrect.
Okay, right here.
Value's not correct because in the whole number they both is 12 and then 8 and 6. 8 is greater than 6, so we're gonna start right there, and then 12 and 8 tenths gonna be greater.
All right, right here.
Valerie is not correct because the 6 in the 10th place is not greater than the 8 in the other 10th place. That is how it's not correct.
Okay.
I don't agree with Valerie because 68 is not greater than 8 because when I stack it up,
When you stack it up, what happens when you stack it up? So when you stack it, what happens? Okay, we'll come back. Okay, right here.
No, Valerie is not correct because the 8 in 12 and 8 tenths is larger than the 6 in 12 and 68 hundredths.
Okay, so just because a number have more digits, does it make that number bigger?
No, it makes it smaller.
Okay, so you said no, it makes it smaller. Why does it make it smaller?
Because, like you said, if you have more places behind the decimal, the smaller your number gets.
Okay, so that's a good point. If you have more places behind the decimal, the more places behind the decimal, the smaller the number gets. Alright, so now we're going to practice a little bit. It says, order the cockroaches from the least to the greatest length. So what does that mean?
Ordering your decimals least to greatest.
Okay, so if I didn't know what least to greatest was, what's least to greatest?
Smallest to biggest.
Smallest to biggest. So what are we ordering from smallest to biggest? The decimals.
The length of the cockroaches.
The length of the cockroaches from smallest to biggest. Okay, so what's the step one? What's step one?
Write the numbers lining up the decimals point. Start at the left, compare digits of the same place.
Okay, so we're gonna write the numbers, lining up the decimal points. Start at the left, and then compare the digits of the same place value. So what are the lengths of the cockroaches?
3 and 576,000.
3 and 582,000. 3 and 432,000.
Okay, so go ahead and write the numbers, stack them. Page 23. So write the numbers and stack them. Stack them, and what's important by stacking up the numbers? What's going to be the most important thing? line,
Line and decimal.
line and what up?
The decimal.
The decimal point.
Line and greatest to least or least to greatest? Or just line?
Least to greatest. So what does it mean, least to greatest?
Smallest to biggest.
Smallest to biggest. I got to go fall in your way, Juliet. Can you get this and sit it on the end of this? Thank you.
You need to write something.
Okay, so I'm gonna give y'all 3 numbers, give y'all an exit ticket. Once you get it right, you can go back to your desk. If you don't have it right, you have to stay until you get it correct, okay? So we're gonna order these 3 decimals. We're gonna go from least to greatest, since that's what our lesson been about, least to greatest. We're gonna order the decimals from least to greatest. So I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna write them down. 5 and 540 thousandths. 5 and 631 thousandths. 5 and 625 thousandths. Go ahead and put those in order from least to greatest. Least to greatest. And once you get done with your sticky note, your exit ticket, give it to me. And I'll tell you whether or not you can go up to your desk. So 5 and 540 thousandths. 5 and 631 thousandths. 5 and 625 thousandths. And once you get done, let me check it off. Good job. Good job. Good job. Y'all can go back. Take your material and go back. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job, everybody.